My name is Anita Bhatia, and I'm the Assistant Secretary General of the UN and Deputy Executive Director of UN Women. First of all, let me thank Iceland profusely for the important support that we get from Iceland. It is very important these days because the world is witnessing a situation where there is a big pushback against women's rights globally. Iceland's the only country in the world which is even close to achieving gender equality, and we need role models where the government, the private sector, and the society takes gender equality seriously so that we can show other people that gender equality is not a very distant dream, but a dream that can be achieved in the near future. Also, the voice of Iceland in important intergovernmental processes like CSW, like the SDG Summit, like the Global Digital Compact are very important because there are countries where the political leadership is actually opposed to SDG 5 and to the achievement of women's full human rights. And so in these negotiations, the voice of Iceland is critical because it helps us to convince others that there can be a more gender equal world if women enjoy their full and total human rights. You know, we have to go back to history for this a little bit, because when UN Women was set up, the story that I understood about its setting up and its foundation came directly from Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, whom I had the honor of meeting. And the way he told me the story is that when he set it up, he looked around the UN system and he saw that there was no entity that was focused on this single issue. There was an entity for children, UNICEF, there was an entity on development, UNDP, an entity on trade, WTO, entity on health, WHO, but nothing that was solving this great big problem of gender inequality, which was why he was inspired to create UN Women. If UN Women was needed then, it is needed even more badly today. Because, as I said before, women's rights that we had taken for granted in many parts of the world that were advancing are actually being rolled back. So in many parts of the world, we are running to stay in place, or we are having to relitigate the issues that we thought we had solved. So actually, the number of problems that we have in gender equality has increased, not decreased. As a student of history, you think that progress is linear. You know, things will keep improving, but that's not the case. We've actually seen that whether it is sexual or reproductive rights, which have been attacked in many parts of the world, whether it is women's access to education because of the pandemic, whether it is access to economic opportunity, again, the lingering effect of the pandemic, for girls and women, all of these problems have gotten bigger, not smaller. And that's why you need an entity like UN Women to constantly advocate for the rights of women, for gender equality, and to remind the world that there are parts of the world, like Afghanistan, where women are being oppressed in new ways every day. If we didn't exist, who would be doing this? Well, CSW is a gathering of, the 193 member nations of the UN. And the way the world has been shaped in the last few years, and the role of social media in creating disinformation, in creating anti-women's rights supporters all over the world, means that there are many, many countries in the world where the political leadership finds it very convenient to actually not grant women their full rights. And if you look, there are ideological cases where, Afghanistan, for instance, where, women's rights have been systematically erased since the Taliban took power. Now, when you come to an intergovernmental process like CSW, it is so important that we maintain and actually amplify the normative standards by which the whole world should hold itself accountable. And this year's CSW on digitalization, innovation, and technology is a subject where actually you don't have yet a very strong global normative framework. And we need that so that countries have something to aspire to, and we can create hope for the women and girls of the world. That's why it's important for Iceland to participate.